If you know these 60 idioms, your English is excellent. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. You're going to learn these idioms as a quiz. You'll see a sentence on the screen with a blank, and you need to complete the idiom in 5 seconds. After you'll learn the correct idiom, you'll review an example sentence, and you'll listen to natives using that idiom. Are you ready? Question 1. At the beginning of our meeting, we shared our favorite food to break the ice, to break the ice. This is an idiom that means to have conversation or activities to overcome initial awkwardness or tension when people are meeting for the first time. For example, you can share your favorite food or play a little game to break the ice. Now remember that idioms are words in a fixed order that have a non-literal meaning. Because they're in a fixed order, you cannot say we broke ice. That isn't correct. You can't say we broke an ice. That isn't correct. And you definitely can't say we broke ice cubes. You must say we broke the ice. And of course, here your verb to break is conjugated in the past simple. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description.
It was just break the ice and now let's have some fun, you know. Yeah.
I shake some hands, I break the ice and make small talk about their backgrounds. I take a genuine interest in the people.
Question 2. Great job with the presentation. You knocked it out of the park. To knock something out of the park, this is a fun idiom. It means to do something exceptionally well. So you can use this to compliment someone. For example, the team knocked it out of the park with their innovative product launch. Now notice how I used it before I specified the something, which was the innovative product launch. You can do it the other way and say the team knocked the product launch, the something, the team knocked the product launch out of the park. The team did exceptionally well. So hopefully you're thinking this lesson is amazing. Jennifer knocked it out of the park. Of course, the it is this lesson. So do you agree? Am I or did I knock it out of the park? If you agree, put that's right, put that's right in the comments.
Whatever it is, you knock it out of the park because you're educated at this great college.
Traditional public schools knock it out of the park in many places. My guess is they'll continue to thrive, the ones that are good.
Very rarely is your first movie going to knock it out of the park.
Question 3. I was offered my dream position, but if I accept it, I have to move to another city away from my family. I'm between a rock and a hard place. Did you get this one? To be between a rock and a hard place. This means to be faced with two difficult or undesirable options. He's between a rock and a hard place, having to choose between a promotion and moving to a new city. So notice how I used the idiom first and then I identified the two undesirable or difficult options. You could also say, I'm between a rock and a hard place. If I tell the truth, it could hurt my friend. So the other option is implied. You tell the truth or you don't tell the truth.
They were caught between a rock and a hard place, and they ended up choosing the hard place.
Really between a rock and a hard place. And to find that officers sometimes make mistakes, I think is understandable. It's to be expected.
They're between a rock and a hard place in economic policy.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Question 4, the party is on Saturday, but it's a surprise. Don't spill the... Don't spill the beans. To spill the beans, this means to reveal a secret or disclose information unintentionally. So for example, I accidentally spilled the beans because it's not intentional. I accidentally spilled the beans about their engagement. I didn't know it was a secret. Or you could reassure someone, your secret is safe with me. You know, I won't spill the beans. I won't reveal your secret.
And he would try to get kids to spill the beans on the family, you know, like my mother's pregnant, my daddy doesn't know.
The authorities thought if he was tortured, he might spill the beans, but there weren't any beans to spill.
If you don't spill the beans now, we're gonna finish this talk down at the station.
Question 5, you don't have to work tonight and miss your party. I was just pulling your... I was just pulling your leg. To pull one's leg, your leg, this means to tease or joke with someone in a playful way. For example, to joke with your coworker, you could say, the boss wants us to work late tonight and organize all the boxes in the storage room. And your coworker could reply back and say, seriously? That will take hours, and I have tickets to Taylor Swift. And then your coworker can say, I'm just pulling your leg. You're teasing your coworker. Enjoy the show.
I was just pulling your leg.
Pressed his nose up against mine, gave me this evil smile and said, I was just pulling your leg.
I was just pulling your leg. I pull stuff up all the time.
Question 6, I got Taylor Swift tickets. Cloud 9. I am on cloud 9 because this expression is to be on cloud 9, which means to be extremely happy. He's been on cloud 9 since he got engaged. Remember to conjugate that verb to be. The team was on cloud 9 after winning the championship game.
I'm on cloud 9, yes. And then guess what? Does it last?
Yeah, I think that honestly, I'm still kind of on cloud 9 from Sunday when Aquafina won.
As you can imagine, I was pretty much on cloud 9 then.
Question 7, the client didn't like the proposal, so we have to start from scratch. To start from scratch, this means to start from the very beginning. So you have to do it again. For example, my computer crashed and now I have to start from scratch because you lost your entire project. Or you could say, I started learning English from scratch last year or 3 years ago, from the very beginning. Hello, how are you? The very beginning.
So I guess you're gonna have to start from scratch.
So they had to start from scratch.
Macmillan most recently had to start from scratch.
Question 8, as the project manager, Jane calls the when it comes to the timeline. Jane calls the shots, a great position to be in. To call the shots means to be in control. This is my house, I call the shots. Or if someone is new to a team, they might ask, who calls the shots around here? Who is in control?
Well, then you're destined to have the existing power structures
call the shots.
Instead, pharmaceutical companies call the shots. The FDA effectively allows them to monopolize drugs via patents.
If I get the chance to call the shot, we're not going to be this stupid.
Question 9. Since this is the first time you missed a deadline, I'll let you off. I'll let you off the hook. To let someone off the hook, this is a relief because it means to be released from responsibility, punishment, or a difficult situation. So you are not going to punish the person even though they did something wrong. I can work late tonight and finish the proposal. You're off the hook. You're relieved of that responsibility. Or perhaps, if I let you off the hook, you have to promise to never do it again.
God, I don't want to let him off the hook.
That may be hard to swallow, but it also means we're off the hook. It's not my fault the way I feel.
Now, sales does not get off the hook with this process.
How are you doing so far? Question 10, the flight was delayed because of the weather. There's no use crying over spilled milk. To cry over spilled milk, this means to be upset about something that can't be undone or fixed. For example, the client fired us because we missed the deadline. Let's not cry over spilled milk. Let's make sure this never happens again. Or you could say, the client didn't let us off the hook. Instead of crying over spilled milk, getting upset over something we can't change, let's brainstorm how we can improve.
Because it's too late to cry over spilled milk.
So I can cry over spilled milk, or I can do what I need to do, and I'm going to do what I need to do.
It's like the old saying, don't cry over spilt milk. It's a little thing.
Question 11, I finally the bullet and organize my taxes. I finally bit the bullet. Did you get the correct verb conjugation? The idiom is to bite the bullet. Bit is the past simple. And this means to do something unpleasant or difficult that is necessary. I must do my taxes. For example, I hate filing paperwork, but I'll just have to bite the bullet. I have to do it anyway. Or the garage is a mess. Let's bite the bullet and clean it up this weekend.
So I thought, bite the bullet, don't put a voice in there.
Wish they would have the courage to simply bite the bullet and tell us the truth.
I'm just going to bite the bullet and reshape the butter block because that's the right thing to do.
Question 12, we're going to hot water when the boss finds out we didn't send the proposal. We're going to be in hot water, which means you're going to be in trouble. After forgetting his anniversary, John found himself in hot water with his wife. Or the company violated safety protocols and is now in hot water.
The captain flashed his, "You're in hot water now, look."
She made sure both he and his tech ended up in hot water.
His company Tesla has already been in hot water this year.
Question 13, stop beating around and just tell me the final price. Stop beating around the bush. This means to avoid the main issue or topic. So it means to speak indirectly. And we usually do this if the topic is sensitive or awkward. But you might tell your friend when you ask your boss for a raise, don't beat around the bush. Ask your boss directly. Be direct. Or you could say, after beating around the bush for 10 minutes, talking indirectly about the main topic, he finally asked me out, which means he asked me on a romantic date.
If you beat around the bush with people, they'll say, "Well, I'll give you a small gift." I say, "No, I really need your help."
big help.
Let's not beat around the bush. You know you've thought about it, and today we're going to answer it.
There's no need to beat around the bush here. Your preview just needs to tell your reader exactly what you have in store for them.
Question 14, everyone in California on the bandwagon and learning how to play pickleball. Is jumping. The idiom is to jump on the bandwagon. And this means to join, support, or start doing something because it's popular or trendy. For example, I jumped on the bandwagon and learned how to make the famous Dubai chocolate bar. This sounds like I learned how to make it simply because it's popular or trendy right now. You could also say many companies have jumped on the influencer bandwagon. So notice here I'm using an adjective, influencer, to describe the bandwagon. So they know the topic of popularity or trend. Influencer.
The success of one film or genre inspires others to jump on the bandwagon.
We're kind of hoping to jump on the bandwagon that drags it back the other direction.
Not a good time to jump on the bandwagon.
Question 15, influencers are a dozen these days. A dime a dozen, which means very common. It can also mean inexpensive or easy to find. Now keep in mind, this sounds negative because it implies a lack of uniqueness or special value. For example, nowadays, pickleball teachers are a dime a dozen. They're very easy to find. Everyone is a pickleball teacher because everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, the pickleball bandwagon. Or you could say talented singers are a dime a dozen in this competition. Everyone is a talented singer. So you really need to stand out to win. You need to do something more than just sing beautifully.
Investors know that ideas are a dime a dozen, but execution is what really matters.
Cocktail consultants are a dime a dozen, and they come and put together menus, and there's not really a bar manager necessarily doing that.
Amazing job. Now let's keep going, and you'll learn 25 idioms to describe people. Number 1, a people person. This is a must-know idiom. This is someone who enjoys interacting with others and is good at building relationships. For example, Jason is a real people person. So notice here, I'm using real to modify it, to intensify it. And don't forget that article, a people person. So he always makes everyone feel welcome.
I'm a people person.
Or you can say, we need a people person for this customer service position. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Number 2, a go-getter. I love this one. It describes me, and I'm sure it describes you. A go-getter is someone who is ambitious and takes initiative to achieve their goals. For example, the team hired him because he's a go-getter. He is. So notice you need the verb to be conjugated with your subject and time reference. He is, he's a go-getter. Or you can say, I like working with go-getters. So notice here, I added that S to the noun to make it the whole category of people with go-getters because they push projects forward.
He's a go-getter.
Or maybe you're thinking, I'm a real go-getter when it comes to improving my English fluency. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's me, put that's me in the comments. Number 3, I'm sure this describes you as well, a smart cookie. So this is someone who is intelligent or clever, someone who is smart, but you can just add cookie to make it sound more casual and fun. Emma is a smart cookie. She solved that complex problem in no time.
Yeah, she was a smart cookie.
Or you're a smart cookie if you can figure out how to make that deal work. So notice, this is conditional. Number 4, a social butterfly. This is someone who is very outgoing and enjoys socializing with others. I wouldn't say that describes me, to be honest. At the party, Noor was a social butterfly, talking to everyone in the room. Or you can say as a. This is a very powerful structure, so remember this, and I'll show you more examples as we go on. As a, and then any of these idioms. As a social butterfly. Pedro always knows what's happening around the office. Number 5, a couch potato. You may know this one. It doesn't describe me. Hopefully, it doesn't describe you. This is someone who spends a lot of time sitting and watching TV or being inactive. So generally, when we say someone is a couch potato, it's a negative. We're calling them lazy. So you might say, I used to be a couch potato. So that is in the past, but not the present. But now I enjoy going to the gym. Or you might use the imperative in the negative and say, don't be a couch potato. Let's go for a walk after lunch. So the opposite behavior of a couch potato. Number 6, a jack of all trades. Do you know this one? This is very common. This is a person who is skilled in many different areas, but not necessarily an expert in one of those areas. For example, my uncle is a jack of all trades. He can repair computers, fix plumbing issues, and cook gourmet dinners. Or remember that as a. Don't forget that article if it's a singular. So in this case, it is because it's a jack. As a jack of all trades. She's able to communicate to every department in the company. So notice you have Jack, which is a male's name in North America, but this idiom is gender neutral. You can use it with males and females. Number 7, a straight shooter. This is a positive idiom. It's someone who is honest and straightforward. So straightforward in the sense that they tell you information directly. I appreciate working with Peter. He's a straight shooter. Or the manager is a straight shooter. She gives constructive criticism directly. Number 8, a big shot. Do you know this one? This is a person of great importance or influence in a particular field or organization. Now, you might say to your friend or colleague, don't be intimidated by him because he's a big shot. So you might think that someone who is a big shot isn't a people person, isn't approachable, but don't be intimidated.
Oh, Ken Park's such a big shot.
Or you can say, Evelyn's been acting like a big shot since she got promoted. In this case, it sounds negative. So it sounds like she's acting like she's more important than everyone else because she got promoted. So notice that verb in this case, acting like a big shot. Number 9, set in one's ways. This is someone who is resistant to change and prefers things to remain the same. Does that describe you? My grandmother is set in her ways. So notice it needs to be possessive to the person. And here's an example of how she's set in her ways. She still refuses to use a smartphone. Or he's so set in his ways, and don't forget that S, it's always S on ways, that he instantly dismisses any new ideas. So if he dismisses them, it means he doesn't consider them. He just says no. Number 10, a worrywart. Hopefully this doesn't describe you. This is someone who worries excessively, so a lot, about things, often unnecessarily. So you might say, don't tell Sarah that the client didn't like the presentation. She's such a worrywart. So she'll worry about it tonight, tomorrow, a month from now, even though it's not a big deal.
Oh, Herbert, you're such a worrywart.
Or you might tell your friend, your sister, your husband, don't be a worrywart. The project isn't due for weeks, so they're staying up at night worried because they're a worrywart. Number 11, a cheapskate. A cheapskate. Have you heard this one? This is someone who is unwilling to spend money or is very frugal. This has a negative sound to it. For example, Tim brings his own popcorn to the movies. He's a cheapskate. Or don't be a cheapskate. So again, that imperative in the negative. Don't be a cheapskate. The more expensive one will last longer. Number 12, a cold fish. This is the opposite of a people person and the opposite of a social butterfly. This is someone who is emotionally distant or unfriendly. Dan may seem like a cold fish, but I think he's just shy.
He's a cold fish.
Or he can be a cold fish sometimes, especially in large groups. Number 13, a backseat driver. Maybe you've been a backseat driver or you've experienced this. This is someone who gives unwanted advice or tries to control a situation. So you can say, stop being a backseat driver, you're making me nervous.
Nobody likes the backseat driver, Klaus.
Now this is very commonly used when someone is actually driving and then the person beside you or in the back seat says, turn left, change lanes, go here, don't drive so fast. That's being a backseat driver. But you can also use this in a non-driving context. For example, stop being a backseat driver and let me handle the presentation my way. So this is someone who's trying to tell you, change this, do this, add this, but you don't want their advice. Number 14, a busybody. This is someone who is overly interested in other people's personal or private matters. You could say, I wish my neighbor would stop being such a busybody. So if you have a fence that divides your property, maybe your neighbor is always trying to look over your fence. That's a busybody. Or you can say, if you keep acting like a busybody, nobody will want to work with you. Number 15, a wet blanket. Hopefully this doesn't describe you. This is someone who dampens the mood or kills the fun. For example, it's only 9 p.m. and you want to go home? Don't be such a wet blanket. So you're having fun at the party, but your friend, your cousin, your spouse says, oh, I'm tired, let's go. So they're dampening the mood, they're killing the fun.
I'm a wet blanket.
You can say, I don't want to be a wet blanket, but we need to discuss why our sales are down. So having a negative discussion can dampen the mood, but sometimes you need to have those tough conversations. Number 16, a loose cannon. You don't want this person on your team. This is someone who is unpredictable and can cause trouble unintentionally. You can say he's a bit of a loose cannon. So a bit of is reducing it. It's making it less intense. We never know what he'll do next. So he's unpredictable, but his actions can have negative consequences. Or you can say a few members of the team are loose cannons. So here, notice because I have a few members, that's plural, so I need to add my S to the noun, loose cannons. They never follow protocols, which are the instructions. Number 17, do you know this one? A bull in a china shop. This probably describes me. This is someone who is very clumsy or careless, especially in delicate situations. Now, in this case, china refers to delicate porcelain or ceramics, not the country. You could say, don't ask Sarah to help you move. She's like a bull in a china shop. So notice here, I'm using to be like a and then the idiom, which means she's careless. She might break your items as she's helping you move. That probably describes me. Or you can say, I never go into antique shops. I'm like a bull in a china shop. So I might accidentally knock something over that's very valuable. Again, that describes me. Number 18, a dark horse. This is someone or something that is not well known, but has the potential to surprise or succeed.
Talk about a dark horse.
This is often used in competitions, political, sports. He was a dark horse in the competition, but in the end, he won first place. So he was not well known, but then he won. Or you can say she's a dark horse. No one expected her to be promoted so quickly. Number 19, a lone wolf. This is someone who prefers to work alone and doesn't like being part of a group. Here's that structure with as. As a lone wolf, he prefers handling projects on his own.
I'm a lone wolf.
Or you can say the lone wolf approach doesn't work in our company. We value teamwork and collaboration. Number 20, a know-it-all. Oh, you don't want to be this. This is someone who behaves as though they know everything and refuses to listen to others. So again, because this is a negative, you could use the imperative in the negative. Don't. Don't act like. You could say don't be, or you can use to act like. Don't act like a know-it-all. You need to listen to other ideas before making a decision. Or you can say, I don't want to seem like a know-it-all, but I have experience with this issue. 21, a creature of habit. You probably know this one, so let's make sure you feel comfortable using it. This is someone who prefers routines and does things in the same way all the time. This definitely describes me. Amelia is a creature of habit. So she won't like these new changes. In this case, that sounds more negative, that the person isn't open to change. So in that case, it doesn't describe me, but this next one does. As a creature of habit, I've been eating the same breakfast for over 10 years. This is true. Ask my husband. He is sick of oatmeal every day, but that's what we have. Number 22, a breath of fresh air. This is someone or something that is new, refreshing, and brings positive change. You can say working with Emily has been a breath of fresh air. So she brings new ideas to every meeting. She brings a new perspective, new energy, new personality. She's a breath of fresh air, and this is positive. You can say after the long meeting, the interactive presentation, so something was a breath of fresh air and lifted everyone's spirits. So it was a welcome change. 23, a stickler. I like this one. Now you can say a stickler for the rules. That's the full idiom, but most natives, we drop the for the rules and just say stickler. This is someone who insists on following rules strictly and doesn't like bending them. So bending them means changing them slightly if the consequence doesn't seem extreme. For example, Greg is such a stickler, he won't even let us leave 5 minutes early. So in this case, although the shift ends at 5, does it really matter if people leave at 4:55 on a Friday? So you bend the rules. You let people leave 5 minutes early, but Greg will not because he's a stickler. Or you could say, I'm a manager now, so I need to be a stickler. I need to enforce the rules. It's my job. Number 24, this is for all the parents, a class clown. This is a person, usually a child, who is always joking or causing trouble in a funny way. But we generally use this with kids in school. For example, my son was a complete class clown. So complete intensifies it, a complete class clown. But now he's a big shot on Wall Street. Or you can say often kids act like class clowns because they're bored or unengaged. And idiom 25, a tough nut to crack. This is someone or something that is difficult to understand or deal with. You can say Tim is a tough nut to crack. It's hard to get him to open up. So to open up, that means to be honest about how he's feeling or the real details of his life. To open up. Or you can say the team has been trying to solve this issue for weeks. The issue is a tough nut to crack. So it's difficult to solve or understand. Think of all the idioms you've learned. Now you'll add 22 idioms for work to your vocabulary. Our first idiom, to see eye to eye. To see eye to eye. This means that you agree with someone or that there is agreement. You could say it's important that the team sees eye to eye on the project's objectives. You can commonly use this in the negative to say we didn't see eye to eye on the project objectives, which means you didn't agree.
We don't see eye to eye.
Our next idiom is very similar. It's to be on the same page. This is when you have a shared understanding or agreement. So to see eye to eye is always with agreement, but to be on the same page is when you have the same understanding. So similar, but slightly different. For example, we need to be on the same page regarding the timeline for the project. We commonly use this with get. We need to get the team on the same page. So this sounds like right now the team isn't on the same page, and get is used for that transition. So we need to get the team on the same page. Go from not a general understanding to a general understanding.
Are we on the same page?
I love this one. To hit the nail on the head. This means that you describe exactly what is causing a problem or a situation. So simply, your description is 100% correct. For example, you really hit the nail on the head with your analysis. Your analysis was 100% correct. You could also use the something as the subject and say your analysis hit the nail on the head. Your analysis was 100% correct. Now don't worry about writing all of these idioms down because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF, so you can look for the link in the description. Our next idiom, to have a lot on one's plate. This likely describes you, it describes everyone.
I have a lot on my plate.
This means you're very busy or you have a lot of tasks to complete. You might say, I can't take on any more projects right now. I already have a lot on my plate. You could also say, I have a lot on my plate with the conference. So you could specify a specific task and then say you have many individual tasks for that one item. The conference, you have many different things to do. I have a lot on my plate with the conference. To get the hang of, this will make you sound very natural. This is when you become skilled with or familiar with something. You could say, it took a while, but I finally got the hang of the new software. So now you're familiar with the software. You're skilled at using the software. Or you could say, using idioms was tricky at first, but I got the hang of them. And hopefully my videos are helping you do that. So put in the comments, I got the hang of idioms. I got the hang of idioms. Because I'm sure you'll get the hang of them very quickly. Next, to cut corners. This is a negative one. When you cut corners, it means you do something in the quickest or the easiest way possible, but you sacrifice quality. Now, hopefully your company says we can't afford to cut corners with our safety measures. And that means your company is going to do things properly, even if it takes longer, even if it's more expensive, because they're not willing to sacrifice quality. And if your company doesn't say that, they'll get a bad reputation, and someone might say, don't use that company, they cut corners, which is not a positive thing.
You can't cut corners in life.
A ballpark figure. This is a sports reference, but it's extremely common in business. You need to know this one. A ballpark figure is an approximation or a rough estimate. So someone might ask, can you give me a ballpark figure for the budget of the project? They're asking you for an estimate. So not a specific number, just an estimate. The person could reply and say, we don't have the budget yet, but if I had to ballpark it, if I had to give you a ballpark figure, if I had to ballpark it, that's what a native speaker would say, if I had to ballpark it, I'd say $100,000. So that's my estimate of the budget, but it's not the exact number. It's just a ballpark figure.
Take a guess, ballpark figure.
Our next one, maybe you know this, to be in the same boat. Have you heard this one? This is when you're in the same difficult situation as someone else. We're in the same boat when it comes to global warming. We're all in the same situation. It doesn't matter if it happens in India or Africa or New York, it affects us all. We're all in the same boat.
I'm in the same boat.
Back to the drawing board. This one is frequently used. This is when you have to start a task or project again because your previous attempt failed. For example, the marketing campaign didn't work as expected, so it's back to the drawing board. To pull strings. Ooh, I love this one. This is when you use your influence to manipulate or control a situation. For example, she managed to pull some strings and get the project approved. So this sounds like the project wasn't approved, but she had influence. Maybe she knew someone on the board that was approving the project. So she used her relationship with that person to get the project approved. She pulled some strings to get the project approved. Someone might ask you, how did you get VIP tickets to Taylor Swift? And you can reply back and say, I pulled some strings. I pulled some strings. Our next idiom, to cross one's fingers. This is used to hope for good luck or a positive outcome. For example, I'm crossing my fingers that the client likes our proposal. And notice that I'm doing the gesture. We commonly do the gesture in North America when we use this expression. We also use this as a reply to say, I hope so. So someone might say, you'll do a great job on the presentation. And you can simply say, fingers crossed. But it's very common to do the gesture. Does this gesture exist in your culture? Let us know in the comments. Say yes it does or no it doesn't. I'm really curious to know. Fingers crossed. How about this idiom, to be on the ball? Do you know this one? This means that you're alert and quick to understand or respond. So this is a positive one. Your boss might say, our team needs to be on the ball to meet the tight deadline. So the team needs to be very quick, very alert. They need to be on the ball. Our next idiom, to throw in the towel. I hope you never do this. This means to give up or surrender. So if you say, English idioms are so confusing, I'm throwing in the towel, it means you're closing this video, you're unsubscribing from my channel, and you're quitting. So please don't throw in the towel.
She's throwing in the towel.
So put in the comments, I won't throw in the towel, I won't throw in the towel, because sometimes it might seem difficult, but keep at it. I know you'll get the hang of it. Number 14, to have one's hands tied. This means you're unable to take action because of external circumstances. So maybe you ask your boss for an extra day of vacation and your boss says, "I'd like to help, but my hands are tied due to company policy." So the external situation or circumstance is the company policy. It forbids additional vacation days. So your boss can't do anything. Your boss's hands are tied. So to deliver bad news, a native speaker will commonly say, "Sorry, my hands are tied."
My hands are tied.
Next, to burn the midnight oil, something I never do. This is when you work late into the night. For example, we had to burn the midnight oil in order to meet the deadline. So I said this is something I never do, and that's because I believe that I'm more productive if I sleep for 8 hours. So I would rather sleep for 8 hours and then the next day I'll be very productive. If I burn the midnight oil, I'm going to waste an entire day because I'm not going to be productive. That's just my personal opinion. Next, to throw someone under the bus. Oh, this is a good one. This is when you blame someone else or sacrifice someone for personal gain or to avoid being blamed. So let's say two coworkers worked on a project together, but then one coworker publicly said the other coworker is the reason why the project failed, even though they made all decisions together. That coworker is going to be upset, and they can say, "I can't believe she threw me under the bus at the meeting."
Sheldon threw us all under the bus.
Number 17, to be on thin ice. This is when you're in a risky or dangerous situation. So let's say your boss says to you, "This is the third time you're late. You're on thin ice." That's not a good position to be because it means that you're in a risky or dangerous situation. In this case, you're at risk of losing your job. You're on thin ice. So management will say this to you to let you know that you're in trouble.
You're on thin ice.
Next, to hit a snag. This probably happens to people every single day. This is when you encounter unexpected problems, challenges, or difficulties. So let's say you're about to launch a new product and everything is going perfectly, but then we hit a snag when the supplier couldn't deliver the materials on time. But don't throw in the towel because I'm sure you can work through it. Number 19, to keep one's eyes peeled. This is when you stay alert and watchful for something specific. Your coworker could say, "Keep your eyes peeled for any updates on the project deadline." So your coworker is telling you to watch carefully for those updates.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Number 20, one that your boss is going to love, to cut a deal. This is when you reach an agreement. So an agreement is a positive thing. Your boss will be happy. But this usually happens after a period of negotiation. You could say, "It took us a while, but we finally cut a deal."
Cut a new deal.
Number 21, to be up in the air. This is when things are uncertain, undecided, or unresolved. For example, the conference is up in the air. So it's uncertain if you're even going to have a conference or the status of it, the planning of it. Everything is uncertain, undecided, unresolved. It's up in the air. Or you could say, "Our plans are up in the air. Nothing has been decided."
That's up in the air.
And finally, number 22, in the works. In the works. This means in progress, so currently being developed or finalized. The conference is in the works. We're working on it. We're developing it. We're finalizing it. Our plans are in the works. So they're not up in the air anymore. They're in the works. Wow, now you have 60 new idioms in your vocabulary. Put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments if you want to keep learning idioms. And if I see enough students who put yes, 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 I'll make another lesson just like this. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Make sure you watch it now.